don't care what Houston did yesterday. They're going to go get their Letterman jackets again. The Indianapolis Colts are 2-6 against the Titans since Pat McAfee came up here and did his wrestling announcement. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they haven't had back-to-back winning seasons since I was a senior in high school.
What's up, Titans fans, and welcome to another edition of Titans Global Podcast. I'm your host, Maximus Titan Fan, and as always with me is Link. Before I bring our special guest on and introduce him, Link, you want to bring up something?
Yeah, I do. I know that, my goal is to reach a lot of people with this podcast, and, we're here for Titans football and we're here to talk sports, and that's why you guys tune in. But I know we have some watchers, some listeners out there who may have been affected this weekend. So I just want to give a quick little shout out to all our people down in Hendersonville, Clarksville, Madison, Goodlettsville areas. I live right there on the Tennessee-Kentucky state line. I saw some of the damage, some of the stuff that happened with the tornadoes firsthand. So, thoughts and prayers with all those people. And it was a tough weekend. Also lost the Titans legend. I'm sure we'll touch on that later. But yeah, just thoughts and prayers from us here at Titans Global Podcast, just going out to those families who have lost loved ones, who have lost what feels like everything. So we'll get into some football, but just wanted to make a quick note of that, starting things out.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely some people affected by that, and we always want to try to say condolences for that and hope everybody's okay.
Absolutely.
Now to get on with the show, we have a special guest tonight. If you don't know him, you got to check him out on Twitter. My man, SharmSports. Sharm, introduce yourself, man.
What's up, guys? I'm SharmSports. I write articles on my website, SharmSports.com. Love the Titans, make tweets on SharmSports, and I'm here to talk some Titans football.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, man. All right. So basically, just to give a short background, I found this guy on Twitter just kind of goofing around like I always do, come across his website that he runs. His blog, was hugely impressed, and then even more impressed when I found out how young he was. That's awesome, man. How did you start out being a Titans fan? What made you decide to start talking about him and writing about him?
So I probably picked the worst year to become a Titans fan. It was 2014, 2015. So I started out as a big Oregon fan, Oregon Ducks football fan, and we all know Marcus Mariota got drafted to the Titans. Okay. Didn't really follow NFL much until that, so I just became a fan of the Titans because of Mariota. And then when Mariota left, obviously I just stuck with them. And so I started my website in June. I just wanted to voice, my opinion about, Titans football and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been great. I've seen a lot of growth over the past couple months. I think a lot because of Max. He's been retweeting a lot of my articles and stuff like that. And I've actually gotten Paul Kaharski to even reach out to me about some of my articles. So, it's been great. So I'm just excited to be on the show today.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool, man. We had Paul on the show recently, or well, not recently. It was, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 months ago. So I guess not so recently. But anyway, to get on to the exciting part of the show, let's hit we're not going to talk about stats right now. We're just going to talk about the high points of the game.
Yep.
Which, for me, was mostly about Will Levis.
Yeah.
Will Levis and DeAndre Hopkins. But and well, one other person, but I'll mention him later. But anyway, I'm trying to get too much into it. Basically, did you see the segment where Will Levis won the angry run scepter?
I did see that, and I think it was well deserved. But I don't want him getting hurt, so he might. I love the grit. I love he will do anything it takes to win, but I don't want to see our franchise quarterback getting hurt.
Yeah, something funny I saw. They asked Mike Vrabel about those runs, and he was like, we've showed him videos of quarterbacks sliding to try to kind of get him to start going into that. And that obviously did nothing. So, this week they're going to show him videos of quarterbacks getting the crap knocked out of them when they don't slide. So we'll see if it changes, but I'm here for every bit of it. I love the tenacity of that dude.
Yeah. Well, here's my take on it. Okay. By the way, I have to do kind of a quiet show because my daughter just laid down for bed. But Will Levis, that tenacity, and he only did it on that second drive. I guess it wasn't the first drive technically because he threw a pick six. Anyway, on that second drive, he only did it twice, and he made it known that he was there, and he folded. I mean, let's be real. Jalen Ramsey is known for laying the wood on people. I mean, that's what his whole career has been built off of. And Will Levis got the better of him.
Yep. And something to build on that, I love the fact that because of those runs, he showed that he was willing to use his legs. It helped them later in the game when it came down to that touchdown and 2-point conversion. Both of those were rollouts. And the defense had to respect the fact that, hey, we've seen this guy take off, lower the shoulder, and drive ahead. So that had to bring the secondary up a little bit to allow the touchdown to happen and to allow the 2-point conversion to happen. So it all kind of works together, and it's working for him.
One takeaway I have from Levis, though, is I wrote this in my article today, is some young quarterbacks, they hate adversity. So, of course, they're not going to say it publicly, but like, say, Desmond Ridder. You think Desmond Ridder wants to be in a situation where he's down by 2 scores, where he can't, hand it to Bijan Robinson, stuff like that? No. Will Levis plays his best football when adversity is in his face.
Yep.
And that is something we have not seen from a Titans quarterback, honestly, since McNair.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the energy, the pure energy. I mean, I was hoping I could get here earlier and get some of these images that I got uploaded, but there are some great images from this game of this kid just being completely on fire, fired up. And I felt it. I was there with him. I mean, literally when that last hit, when we sacked Tua for the end, basically, dude, I don't think there was a muscle in my body that wasn't tensed up. Everything was tensed up. I was on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, kid he's a shot of adrenaline. He's a shot in the arm, and he's exactly what the Titans franchise needs right now. He is our quarterback. He is him. He is the man, whatever you want to say, however you want to say it. That's Will Levis.
Well, and just in the post game, the attitude that he has on and off the field, to go into the post game, talk about, we're happy to show what we've got in front of America, and then to say that he's excited to watch Hard Knocks, which comes on tonight. I mean, just the dude's got it. I mean, he's just a dog. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I agree, man. And another big part of that was he was pressured 21 times on 43 dropbacks.
Yeah.
That's almost half.
Yep.
And he still had an amazing game.
Yep.
And yes, I agree, Aaron. It's just energy, just pure energy and passion for the football game. And it's nice to see a Titans quarterback that can do that.
Well, this is what, and Shar mentioned it, the reason you became a Titans fan was Mariota. I mean, this is what we wanted Mariota to be. He was supposed to be the high energy, the game changer, the momentum shifter. I mean, this is what we wanted in Mariota that we just never seemed to get.
That is absolutely Mariota. His confidence, it seemed like it was just shattered, after a couple of years with different offensive coordinators and stuff. I know people are very, very, upset with Tim Kelly, I would run Tim Kelly back next year just because I don't want Will Levis to already have his second offensive coordinator in 2 years. It can be very bad for a quarterback.
Absolutely. And another thing I'll say about Tim Kelly, there is one thing that man knows how to do, and that is gadget plays. He finds the right time, the right opportunity to bring in Henry in a wildcat or a king cat, to bring in a fake, to bring in a reverse. I mean, those gadget plays, that's one thing I'll give him credit for. He's pretty on point with those.
Yeah, and I like Tim Kelly. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, there were some calls that I probably wouldn't have made. But to be honest, I have to say it's a huge improvement from Todd Downing. I am so much happier with Tim Kelly as our offensive coordinator than Todd Downing. When I was watching Todd Downing's games, I know y'all aren't from here, but it was just like watching my high school, the home team here, because the dude just runs the ball constantly.
Yeah.
And then every now and then he'll do a play action.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the most exoticness you see out of his offense is a play action pass.
Yep.
And that just can't fly in today's game, especially when you're undermanned like we are.
Yep.
Somehow Tim Kelly finds these pieces that we have. Like, I got to give him a huge shout out. NWI. I mean, he didn't make that touchdown catch, but my God, the effort. I mean, and he showed up in different times of the game when we absolutely needed somebody to show up. And he did.
It seems like NWI has been surprising this year as he was coming in as the wide receiver 5. Chris Moore as well. It seems like every game, Chris Moore has at least one big catch that sets up the Titans for a scoring drive.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to build on that and say something about, I made a tweet earlier in the week about should we give up on Treylon Burks. And now when I say give up, I don't mean cut him, because that's stupid. I mean, it's just like Caleb Farley. You don't cut a rookie in his third year. However, do we stop trying to make him our number 2?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely, dude. Burks, I want to point out an important stat here, not to do stats, but Burks had more snaps than DeAndre Hopkins. And DeAndre Hopkins outperformed him by 124 yards. You know how many Burks got?
6. I think I saw your tweet. Yeah, 6.
6.
And if you look at the free agency wide receiver class, the Titans are going to have at least $90 million in cap space. T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr.
Yep.
I'm probably forgetting a lot of other guys who are much better than what Burks is going to get. Mike Evans.
Yeah.
I just don't see a scenario where the Titans don't bring in a wide receiver, especially with Burks. Your best ability is your availability. He's not available most of the time.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, and to go back to your point about do you give up on him, in my opinion, they already have. And the reason I say that is I went back and I watched every snap that he took where he ran a route beyond the line of scrimmage. They are all decoy plays. I mean, it's out route. They're not trying to get him the ball. He is literally there as a decoy. So, Sharm, I want to ask you, here's my question. We talked about wide receiver 2. Looking back at the targets for that game, DeAndre Hopkins had 12 targets. Westbrook-Ikine had 4. Chris Moore had 1 with the 1 catch, and Treylon Burks had 3. Do you even have a wide receiver 2 right now? I mean, when DeAndre Hopkins is eating up 12 of the targets and you don't have another receiver. Now, I know Chig, tight end, he had 6, but you don't have another receiver with 5 targets. I mean, that's not credit to Levis. He's doing what he can with the receivers he's got, but that seems like a problem. Does it not?
I'll tell you right now, the Titans do have a wide receiver 2, but he plays running back. His name's Te'Ajay Spears.
You're right.
Dude, you are on fire.
Te'Ajay Spears is the Titans wide receiver 2 right now. How many times does Levis target him on third downs, third mediums, 3rd and 6s, check down, first down? And also to go off this, why is Kyle Phillips not playing?
Exactly.
Kyle Phillips needs to be on the field. He is a security blanket for Will Levis. They were building chemistry together. And now Vrabel's like, let's just have him be inactive. And even if he is active, we'll play him a snap, maybe 2 snaps. Like, they got to play Kyle Phillips more. They have to.
Yep.
Well, here's my thing. If we had the number 2 guy, like you're talking about, the T. Higgins, the Mike Evans. Is this somebody that can come in and take some of the pressure off of DeAndre Hopkins on a regular basis?
Yep.
Would Kyle Phillips not be the perfect number 3 slot receiver?
Exactly.
I mean, isn't he that
Yes.
guy?
Yes.
I mean, and he
Why they
proved that
drafted
with
him.
a 3-game streak, and then all of a sudden he's inactive for 2. I don't know if he's hurt or if like the coaching staff is upset with him or what's going on, but there is something there, because when you produce on the field, whether you practice good or not, I can tell you as a football coach, when you produce on the field, guess what? You get to play.
Yeah.
Whether you've got a good attitude, a bad attitude, doesn't matter. I mean, to an extent, it doesn't matter. You get to play.
Well,
so what's going on with him that's
and-
keeping him from playing?
And that's why I expected to see Colton Dow more this game. I mean, I honestly did. I thought, because he's been performing on special teams, Mike Vrabel seems to really like the guy. Why not give him those Burks decoy? If you're going to run decoys anyway, at least give it to somebody that you think you can build on. When, I mean, they're kind of basically saying they don't think they can build on Burks. So I just want to see anybody in that just quick slant, 5-yard, just those easy first down plays.
Yeah, man. Gonna try to move on from that, but you brought up a great point there, Sharm. One that I was gonna move to next, but Tajay Spears.
Yeah.
We are starting to see his true potential as a running back in this league, because his running stats weren't that great. I think he had like a 4.1 yard average. That's the only good thing about his stats on the rushing. But as far as the receiving, he had 6 receptions for 89 yards, if I'm saying that right.
Yep.
Which is phenomenal. The kid touched the ball 13 times, and 6 of them were first downs.
That's the key.
Phenomenal. We are starting to see.
I made a tweet yesterday. I said that Tajay Spears needs to play over 80 snaps on offense.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to play at least 85%. And that's not an anti-Derrick Henry thing. You can have those two on the field at the same time. This has been the problem with backup Titans running backs. We had Donta Foreman for a while. Dontrell Hilliard was okay. He's not Spears. You couldn't have those two on the field at the same time. Now you can do that. Tajay Spears and Derrick Henry can be on the field at the same time, and the Titans offense will not only excel, they'll be better than they ever were this year.
Yep.
I 100% agree with you, man. And we've actually talked about that on the show before. Link, I have to give him credit, brought it up first, but there was a show, we talked about it, and as the show went on, I literally kept bringing it up because I was like, man, you know, I keep thinking about it. I can't get it out of my head, but you're right. He does need to take some snaps away from Henry. Now's the time. I mean, I think it was Davenport, but somebody put out that we are seeing the change of the starting running back right before our eyes.
Yeah, and I mean, just to your point, so Tajay Spears, the 13 touches, the 6 first downs. Henry had 18 touches and 4 first downs. So again, I'm not hating on Derrick Henry.
No,
I'm not, but
he made a great catch.
He did, and for this team, I still believe Derrick Henry is a short yardage threat, and he is a red zone threat, and that's what he has shown us. Yeah. I mean, that's what he has shown us. But Tajay Spears just brings that element of explosiveness, of fighting for the extra yards, of making that catch that he made, that Spears made, he was double covered. That was a contested over the shoulder catch. Now, granted, he fumbled, it worked out, but that was a heck of a catch by a guy that looked like a receiver in that moment, and he's your running back. So, I mean, Spears, man, he's just blown me away with what he's been able to do this year.
I agree. Oh my God, I couldn't be happier with Rand Carthon's picks at this moment. You know, you look at 1, 2, and 3. We got Skoronski, who's shoring up the inside left. We got Will Levis, who's definitely the quarterback of the future, franchise quarterback of the future. And then you got Tajay Spears, who's eating it up, rushing and receiving.
Yep.
He is so close. I think he's 3rd in the NFL for scrimmage yards of all running backs. That's amazing.
Yep.
Good job, Tajay.
Do we want to talk defense?
Talk defense.
Man, I have to say it. Do you want to say it?
I think I know who you're gonna say.
Do you want to say it, or do you want me to say it?
Harold Landry. Is that who you're gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been bagging on him all season, but I gotta say, welcome back, my brother.
He is back.
3 sacks.
Yep.
5 quarterback pressures. The man was everywhere all the time, man. I love Harold Landry, and I'm so glad that he's back. It looks like he's finally back to his pre-injury form. That's what I remember. That's Harold Landry. And keep in mind, no Jeffrey Simmons.
I was going to say, if Harold Landry can do that when Jeffrey Simmons is 100%, and they can both go out on both sides of that offensive line and just dominate. I mean, that's what – but here's the thing. That's what this defense was supposed to be going into this season. We expected Landry to be back. We expected Simmons to be at 100%. We're just seeing what Carthon and what Vrabel were setting up from the start. I mean, this is how it was supposed to be week in and week out, and we just haven't seen the consistency. So I love what Landry did, but more importantly, I want to see you continue to do it.
Yeah, I think Landry, he was fantastic on Monday, but I saw a stat before the bye week. He wasn't anywhere. He had a sack and a half before the bye. He's been great since the bye week. To go on to the defensive side, the pass rush I think has been disappointing this year as a whole.
Yep.
I expect them to be a top 5 unit coming in. Yeah. And secondary, we know how bad they are. You know, Murphy Bunting made some plays last night.
He did.
But Fulton, he won't be here next year. We need a new safety on the back end with Hooker. So there's a lot of work to do on that defense. But from last night, I thought they were tremendous last night.
Yep. Yeah, you know who showed up on that secondary last night? And I know he had a big gaffe in the game. Not going to lie, but Eric Garrar came up huge in the secondary last night. When they called his number, he was, I won't say locked down because he had a couple on him, but still way better than Christian Fulton or Molden or, a couple other guys I can name off here.
Did it seem like to y'all that the secondary meshed better with Fulton off the field? Not to just completely hate on Fulton.
Yeah.
But I feel like Fulton was giving up so many big plays that other guys couldn't do their job because they were having to go cover and help Fulton. It just feels like the secondary meshed better without that liability on the field.
I mean, when NFL teams have their offensive meetings, their quarterback meetings, their receiver meetings, and they play the Titans, 26 is circled saying we are targeting this guy a lot.
Yep.
Because he's been poor this season. Now, it's not to hate on Fulton, but yeah, there's not a liability in the secondary with him out. Murphy Bunting isn't great, but he's not a liability to say.
I'll say this, man. PFF, and not to go off any of PFF's grades, because y'all know how I feel about that. But PFF grades Roger McCreary and Kristen Fulton pretty darn close. And to me, if you watch the tape, they are nowhere in the same atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, Roger McCreary is way more talented than Christian Fulton.
I was looking at PFF. Aaron Brewer has a 70 grade on PFF.
Yeah, I know they're silly.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're.
And Will Levis has like a 55, if I remember correctly.
But to Sharm's point, they may be on the same level grade wise. However, their grading scale works. But to him, when you're in the offensive meetings, they're intentionally picking on Fulton. So when the ball is being thrown at him more, he's gonna make those mistakes more often than Roger McCreary does. And I think Roger McCreary is a good talent, and I think he did a pretty good job on Tyreek Hill while Hill was in the game, the plays that he was on him for. But yeah, like I said, to Sharm's point, I mean they're picking on Fulton. That's why you feel like you see it more versus Roger McCreary.
I won't disagree with that. I do believe he brought up a good point. Our pass rush hasn't been there much this year, but we got 5 sacks and 6 tackles for loss, which isn't great on the tackles for loss, but the 5 sacks is something we've only seen in maybe 1-2 other games total. So that is a huge improvement.
Absolutely.
Yep. One more thing I want to touch on, just while we're kind of on, we've done offense, we've done defense, special teams. There's good and there's bad. I'll start with the good, and I'll let y'all take the bad because it's going to hurt me to say it about Garrar. But the good, Tyler Zettner, hey, hats off.
Our punting was good.
To come in and to punt like that. I had the stats for him. He had, let's see, I know he had 2 inside of the 20. His average was 48.8. I mean, hey, to come in and do what he did, you know, that takes a guy. So for the rest of the season, I don't think I'm too worried about the punting game.
All right, I'll take the punt returns. All right, so I'm not gonna flame Eric Garrar because I don't think he should be in that position to return punts.
Yep.
No matter who the GM is, Rand Carthon, John Robinson, the Titans can't find a punt returner. It's just never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Every year, there's at least 2 or 3 times where a returner drops the ball, sets up 1st and goal inside the 10-yard line for the other team, and they score a pivotal touchdown. Kyle Phillips against the Ravens earlier this year is an example of that. So they just can't find a punt returner.
Yep.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. It seems like whoever is our punt returner is just doomed to muff the punt at some point. And Garrard's been pretty solid, so I'm not going to give him too much grief over a poorly, even though he tried to explain it on the sidelines.
Vrabel did not like that explanation.
No, dude. He was like, I don't care what you're doing. I saw him say that twice. So, yeah, he clearly did not like his explanation of it. But, man, yeah, dude.
Well, and to tell, and hey, I've never returned punts professionally as an NFL player, so I don't know what exactly is going on in their head. But to tell everybody to get away from it, I mean, you're sitting there saying, "Get away, get away, get away," and then you're the one who goes. I'll leave it alone. But hey, it didn't matter in the end. So,
yeah.
Like I said, if you're our punt returner, you are destined to make bad decisions.
Yep.
Yeah. But let's talk about one more interesting aspect to the game, because I was actually talking to a friend of mine today at work about this. And can you imagine, all right, let's just imagine an alternate dimension where Will Levis didn't come out and throw a pick 6 on the very first play of the game. Mm-hmm. And let's imagine in this alternate dimension that the Titans did not give up 2 fumbles, one on special teams, one on the very next play on the ensuing offensive drive. So let's say all 3 of those touchdowns don't happen. Can y'all boys tell me how many points the Miami Dolphins would have had?
10.
What was the end score?
28-27.
Yep.
28-27. That means they would have scored 6 points. Because that is 3 touchdowns. 1 on the pick 6, 1 for the punt fumble, 1 for Derrick Henry / Will Levis's fumble. So that's 21 points, ladies and gentlemen.
21
points on turnovers. Let's take those 21 points away. What's this game look like? And that makes me eat even more crow than I was going to in the beginning. Because I have said twice on this show about how we're not a playoff-ready team because we don't stack up well against the Miami Dolphins. Well, it looks like I was completely wrong. And I apologize now to all the Titans fans who was telling me I was stupid for saying that. Sorry.
Now, I don't think this team's going to make the playoffs still. But I see a lot of guys on Twitter. I'm not going to call him out, but I've seen one person who was very upset that the Titans won this game, actually, because of draft position. Now, before I leave, I want to say this. Building a losing culture is one of the worst things an NFL franchise can do. Mm-hmm. When players come in to the game every Sunday and expect to lose the game, that is awful. That is a losing culture. The Carolina Panthers have that right now. The New England Patriots have that right now. The Arizona Cardinals have that right now. How many times in the past 10 years have the Panthers had the number one pick? I mean, not the number one, a top 10 pick. A lot.
Yeah.
Are they good? Are they good? No, they're not good.
No.
It's because they don't have a culture to win games. The Titans with Mike Vrabel have built a culture to win games. It's been a struggle the past 2 years, but we should never want our team to lose, because losing cultures are worse than anything in football.
Yep, absolutely.
Well said, Sharm. Well said, dude. I mean, and I've even been there. I've been in that position a lot this year. I've even said on my show a couple times, I'm not going to, harp on them losing games. I'm going to enjoy the individual wins or whatever. But yeah, man, that's just not acceptable. Not if you're a true fan. If you're blue, true, you should not be thinking, I want a better draft pick.
Yep.
You should be thinking, yes, Frankie, since we won last week, we are not completely out of the playoff contention. We have like a small, and I mean single-digit percentage of actually making the playoffs, which is stupid. But it's just because we didn't lose last week. If we'd have lost last week, that was it. We were out.
Well, and I'll say this before Sharm goes, just to get his opinion, but just real quick, if somehow they magically do get into the playoffs, and if Jeffrey Simmons gets healthy, and if we get some of these guys back on the field, this isn't exactly a team I would want to see early on in the playoffs, just because of how physical they play on the defensive side, on the offensive side. Once they get in, if they get in, anything can happen. I mean, we've seen it before. So I'm not saying they are going to make the playoffs, but it's certainly not a 9-8 team I would want to meet going into the playoffs.
Absolutely. 2019, the Titans started 2-4, made the quarterback change midseason, went all the way to the AFC Championship game. So again, yeah, they probably won't make the playoffs, but if they do, yeah, I would not want to play a Titans team that is hot with Will Levis at quarterback and that Derrick Henry, Tyjae Spears duo. I'm assuming if they do make the playoffs magically, the pass rush would have been phenomenal too. So yeah, that'd be a tough out. We'd be a tough out in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Sharm.
All right.
I don't want to, I guess you got to go, man. But if
Yeah.
you don't know this guy, you got to follow this guy on Twitter at SharmSports. Anywhere else we can follow you, brother?
I'm working on building up the Instagram, but yeah, I have an Instagram at SharmSports, but mainly Twitter and my website. You can subscribe with an email for free. So if you just want updates and everything, you can go there.
Yeah, definitely check the guy out, man. Like I said, I'm thoroughly impressed. But thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate your time, Sharm. You have a good night,
guys.
brother.
Have a good night.
You too, man.
All right, buddy.
Heck yeah.
Right.
Great guy.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, so to kind of build on what he was saying before he left about the culture and not wanting to get into a losing culture, this was a game Tennessee needed. They were 4-16 in the last 20 games coming into this. You haven't won a game on the road in over a calendar year. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, winning kind of fixes everything. And I mean, past this, I look at this game and I'm like, hey, Mike Vrabel still knows how to win NFL football games. He's going to come in with a game plan, and he's going to come in and get his players fired up enough to the point that they're going to be in this. I mean, other than a couple blowouts over the course of that 4-16 record, I mean, most of those have been close games, if you think about it.
That's what I was going to say. We've always been in a win position, a position that we could win the game. And we just have fallen short a lot in the last 17, 18 weeks. But still, not terrible, Titans. Not terrible. You looked actually really good. I will say that Tyreek Hill did get hurt early in the game. So, there's that.
So I'll make one thing, and I do think the ankle played a factor in his performance, even after he came back in the game. But if you look, so I had the target list here. Tyreek Hill had 5 targets. He had 4 catches, 61 yards. If you go back to the Washington game the week before, He only had 7 targets, but he had 157 yards. So I'm not saying the ankle didn't play a factor, but even on the catches he did make, he wasn't getting a lot of yards after the catch. The Titans were allowing him to catch it, but they were getting him on the ground. And I think, kind of getting him frustrated and kind of out of his element. And again, the ankle was probably in his head. And I'm not saying he was 100%, but to hold him to 61 yards on 4 catches, I mean, that's kind of impressive for this secondary, given what we've seen in the past.
Well, not only that, the Bradley Chubb factor.
Yeah.
That's something I think that most people just take out of it. But again, that run by Will Levis, when he escaped Bradley Chubb's clutches and then ran, Bradley Chubb was so angry after that play. And that's what it's about. I used to say all the time, if you want to beat Tom Brady, there's only one way to beat Tom Brady, and that's to get in his head.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what we did. That's exactly what Will Levis did to Bradley Chubb.
Yep.
On that second drive. He was like, "What? No, you can't touch me, dude.
Yeah.
You can't tackle me. Even if you think you got me, you ain't got me."
Yep.
I mean, all right, look, I'm going to say this as non-explicit as I can. In my brain, I know this isn't how it happened, but in my brain, I feel like at 4 minutes and 34 seconds left in the game, Mike Vrabel looked at Will Levis on the sidelines and said, "We're going to need a miracle to win this game." And Will Levis looked at him and said, "Hold my beer. Watch this."
Pretty much.
I mean, 75 yards on the first one, and I think it was something like 78 yards on the second one, both within. I mean, the first drive I know was 65 seconds. I think the second drive was like 32 seconds or something like it. It was even faster. It was like half as fast as the first drive.
Yep. And you know what? I'll build on that with Levis. And he made some mistakes, some rookie mistakes. But here's his fourth quarter passing numbers: 10 of 13, 138 yards, 1 touchdown, 136.1 passer rating. He is a winner. And he is going to go out and he's going to do whatever it takes to win. If that means running over Jalen Ramsey, if that means deep shots and 12 targets to Hopkins, he puts it on his shoulders. Win or lose, it hits him harder than anybody else on this team. I truly believe that. I think when he's high, he's high. I think when he's low, he's low. But he knows how to bounce back. He knows how, like we're talking about stuff getting in players' heads. He knows how to not let it get in his head. I mean, he comes out fresh every single drive, like the last drive meant nothing. It's incredible to me.
I again, another guy that I've literally got to give credit to that I did not think was going to be nearly as good as he is right now. But Levis has proven me wrong in a lot of different ways. And I would have never expected the guy from Kentucky who was putting mayonnaise in his coffee and eating bananas with the peels on them to be the quarterback that he is. But I am so glad that we drafted him.
If I told you a year ago that Will Levis on any team, if I told you a year ago that Will Levis would be the first rookie to ever pass for 300 plus yards on Monday Night Football, I would think you were out of your mind. But he did it. If you told me that there was a record of 0 and 767, if that was the record, down by 2 touchdowns with 3 minutes or less to go, if you told me Will Levis was going to break that record on Monday Night Football, I would have called you crazy. I mean, this guy just continues to surprise me, and I'm here for every absolute bit of it.
And that is exactly why when I titled this show, it was historical comeback, because that's exactly what it was, folks. Nobody's done this on Monday Night Football down by 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Nobody except who? Oh, that's right. It's the Titans. The Titans are the only ones to do it.
Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, this is what I was saying. I'm upset. I'm upset that CJ Stroud got hurt this week,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to see
Yep.
the first of many showdowns
Yep.
between CJ Stroud and Will Levis. Excited to see it. I'm also excited to see us back in the Oilers uniforms. And to everybody out there who follows me on Twitter and Facebook, I got a video special for that. It'll be coming out maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But yes, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see us in Houston. I'm excited. Really hope we don't go down there and lay a goose egg. I'll be really upset. But that is what we normally do, is it not? But it would be nice not to do that and see that graphic that they put up after the game about the Texans being in the hunt. It would be nice to see that graphic change all of a sudden from the Texans to the Titans, because that's exactly what's going to happen if we win next week.
Yep. Absolutely. It's going to be a big one. And like you said, I mean, I was also hoping to see him and Stroud. I mean, this, and I've talked about it before, this division, I feel like every team has their quarterback of the future, or at least they think they do at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 years from now, we're going to look back at these games with Levis and Lawrence, Levis and Stroud, Levis and maybe Richardson, and think, man, this is when it all started. And metal sharpens metal, or whatever the saying is. I mean, they're only going to get better from this point forward, for sure.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I was almost disappointed that Stroud got hurt or whatever. But I heard old Bryce Young got hurt too.
I didn't follow it. I think he did. I haven't followed to see what the injury was or what the timeline looks like. But yeah, I mean, and I don't want to see any quarterbacks hurt.
No.
I don't want to see any players hurt at all. But that just speaks to the physicality of what this league is now. And I mean, even the quarterbacks, people say they're overprotected, but hey, I mean, you got rookies out here doing what Will Levis does. I mean, it's crazy. But now to say that again, you've got Richardson, who was hurt and out for the year. You've got Stroud, who's now injured. You've got Bryce Young, who's now injured. Will Levis is built like a tank. And that's something that I love about that draft pick, is he's built to withstand those hits. He can make those hits on guys like Jalen Ramsey. I mean, he's built like a fullback playing quarterback. So I feel like that's going to help us long term if he can learn to kind of be smarter. And I do want to see him slide more. I love the big hits. It gets me excited. He's built like a tank, but he's not bulletproof. So just bring it back a little bit.
Well, like I said, I think he understands when he needs to pull that out and when he doesn't.
Yeah.
I think that he was trying to make a statement.
Yep.
And he was trying to light a fire.
Yep.
And it worked.
Yep.
Because, he didn't do that again in the game, except a couple times he faked like he was going to run.
Mm-hmm.
And it, like you said, it made them pay attention to him because he could lower his shoulder and actually gain a couple yards. He probably could have ran that touchdown and then passed off to DeAndre Hopkins. But better to see him pass it off.
Yeah.
And that's my point, is that he knows he could run it in, but instead he looks to pass it off.
Exactly.
Which is exactly what you want your quarterback to do. You don't want him being Tim Tebow and just running all the time. You want him to pass when he can.
Yeah, and to speak on that play, that may be the highlight play of Will Levis's season right now, just because it wasn't his longest pass, it wasn't his best pass, but for him to take the snap, roll out, stumble, catch his footing, and then look off the defender and throw a no-look pass to DeAndre Hopkins in the middle of the end zone. Just the whole play, start to finish, shows you the ceiling that this kid has. And I'm so excited to see how high up he can go to hit that ceiling.
Yeah, I honestly, I love that pass, but if I had to put one pass above all of them, it was the Mahomes looking pass that I think he faked it like 3 times around that linebacker and finally sidearmed it to, I think it was Chig Okonkwo. I don't know who exactly caught it, but And I have to say that too, Chig. I don't know if he just waits until December to start playing football or what, but
Keep doing it.
yeah, he's balling out right now. So keep going, Chig.
I think Chig is slowly earning a roster spot on this team next year, and I may be crazy for thinking that, but again, I think the potential is there. Now, would I love to see a guy like Brock Bowers come in for the Titans? Absolutely, but I think Chig can be at least a solid player. I don't know that he's going to be one of the killers like Travis Kelce, but I think he can be a solid player now that he started to catch the ball and shows what he can do on his feet. So we'll see what happens. But again, I mean, I've been pretty impressed by Chig the last couple weeks.
Yeah, you bring up Bowers, and I've said a couple times on social media and other places that if we, get the draft exactly like I want to draft right now, it's going to be tackle, positional player in the second round, and then the center. But to be honest, if Brock Bowers is there in the third round, or maybe even the second, I don't know. It depends on how far down the line we're picking. But man, if Brock Bowers was in the third round, I don't know that I could pass on him. I'd have to take that dude.
And I'd say second, just like Sharm talked about earlier. I mean, you've got a pretty good free agency receiving class coming out.
That is true.
If he's there at number 2, and I'm deciding between Brock Bowers and any receiver other than Mark Harrison Jr., I'm probably taking Brock Bowers.
I don't know, man. I mean, I know a lot of people are talking about Marvin Harrison Jr., but I am really high on Jerry Rice's kid from USC. He's already said he's coming out.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr. got offered $18.5 million from his NILs. So he could literally stay in college and make $18 million, never play NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, he could do it.
Yeah.
He could really be the first player ever to be so famous in college that you don't have to go to the NFL.
You're right.
You can retire.
And NIL has kind of changed things. I mean, just to touch on that a little bit, I mean, you've got guys who are making more as a senior in college than you would make as a rookie in the NFL. Yep. And I think we're going to start seeing these fifth-year seniors hold out a year, and now they can decide. I mean, you can essentially decide which NFL team you want to go to. I mean, if you don't like the way the draft's stacking up, hey, I'm going back to college. I mean, it's that easy now.
Well, look. And I'm going to say this, it's probably going to make a lot of my pro people angry, but a lot of my college people excited or whatever, but it has nothing to do with football. That's what the NILs was actually designed to do.
Yep.
Was to keep kids in college until they graduate.
Yep.
Not have these guys at 28 years old trying to go back to college and remember what they learned 14 years ago.
Absolutely.
That's stupid. I mean, I can tell you 14 years, I went to school for electronics engineering. 14 years is completely obsolete. Everything you learned is nil. It's nothing. So that is exactly what they're doing with the NILs. That's exactly what the NCAA's reasoning for bringing those in was to keep kids in college until they graduate. So am I going to be upset if Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't come to the NFL? Absolutely not.
No.
Hey, man, you do you. If you can make that much money as a senior in high school, do you, man. Get that money.
Yeah, I mean, why put I mean, you see, I get it on the point of the money side and the financial side, but also, I mean, all the stuff with the CTE and the head injuries. I mean, I think you're going to see some guys who can make that type of money in college and say, you know what, I don't know if I want to put myself at that risk of going to the NFL and getting hit by 300-pound line, because you're not taking the same hits in college you're taking in the NFL. You're just not. And I think you may see some guys make a business decision, a life decision by saying, hey, I've made this money. I've got my degree. Is it worth the risk?
It makes a lot of sense, especially if you're looking at $18 million like Marvin Harrison. Although I think that's pretty exaggerated. I think that's a pretty not usual deal that you get as a senior in college. But even so, if you're a nobody and you're making $1 million in college, you're happy as hell. Why go to the NFL and risk that extra. I get what you're saying. It makes a lot of sense, and
Yeah.
that's why they put them in there. So I actually applaud the NCAA for doing that when they
Absolutely.
did it. I thought it was a great decision, and it seems to be improving their game.
Yep. Absolutely. I agree.
All right. Well, I don't want to end this show. I want to just keep talking
I know.
about how great it was to watch us win and
Yeah.
cheer and be happy, but all good things must come to an end.
That's right.
Even an amazing win like that.
And the Dolphins' home winning streak.
Yeah. Like, dude, like when I'm serious, dude. When I went to work this morning, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, man, come on, dude. All good things must come to an end. You got to stop celebrating at some point. And I didn't even after I got to work. I celebrated most of the day with people, just people who didn't even know what the hell I was talking about.
Yeah.
Like the chicks and the girls in the office that are like 50 and they don't care about football at all. I'm like, yo, dude, the Titans won. Let me tell you about all this, and they don't care.
No.
But they care about me, and they like they're just like, oh yeah, that's great, fantastic, I'm happy, But like I said, all good things must come to an end, so we also must end. Is there any final thoughts you want to leave us with, Link?
No, I'm good. I mean, like you said, time to look forward. I mean, you still got a divisional game coming up this Sunday, despite who the quarterback is. It's going to be Oilers throwback, but you've got a short week to prepare. So I'm sure Vrabel was telling Levis in the locker room, hey, enjoy it, embrace it, have fun, but it's right back to work. I mean, this season's not over yet. This wasn't the Super Bowl. I mean, it was a great win, but time to move on. So yeah, no, it's been fun. Love talking with you guys, and we'll see what happens next week.
I did forget one thing I wanted to bring up before I leave. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this out here. I've heard from the last two games, a couple people say when I bring up the fact that the Titans secondary is terrible, they want to bring up the fact that we traded away Kevin Byard, which was maybe our best piece of the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
To that, I have to throw out a tweet that Jake Robinson threw out. He was on the show a couple months ago, but and you know how I feel about PFF grades, but it's still something that you can look at. Kevin Byard's PFF grade since he left the Titans, 67.7.
Yeah.
Do you know what Kayvon Wallace's PFF grade since Kevin Byard left the Titans is?
I don't, but I'm real curious to know.
68.3.
Wow.
So he actually has a higher PFF grade. So, all right. So let's take away the PFF grade crap.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just look at the two players.
Yep.
And what they do for the team.
Yep.
I've said it before. Kevin Byard and Amani Hooker was like having two free safeties.
Yes.
And it just didn't work.
Yep.
Kevin Byard is a free safety. Let him go be a true free safety. We brought in Kayvon Wallace, who is a true strong safety.
Yep.
Unlike Molden, who tried to adapt to that.
Yes.
I thought he would do really good, but he didn't.
Yep.
Okay. Kayvon Wallace is our strong safety, if you ask me.
Yep.
And that allows Amani Hooker to be the true free safety, which allows him to get the picks and the good coverage and everything that he does.
Yep.
By the way, he laid some wood.
Yeah.
He laid some wood Monday night, dude. He laid old boy out. I don't what was his name? Number 17.
Waddle.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
He laid him. I thought old boy was hurt.
Yeah. Well, and here's what I'll say about that is just real quick. I think that you saw Wallace came in and meshed better for the reason I never thought Kevin Byard and the Eagles were a good fit. And the reason why is because Kevin Byard, what he brought to the Titans wasn't necessarily his play as much as it was his leadership, getting guys in the right spot, being able to cover when somebody else got beat. He gets to the Eagles, and now you see him trying to do too much because that's what he was used to in Tennessee. Whereas Wallace came in and said, hey, I can play my strong safety position, just go up and hit some dudes. And I feel like that's why he's made a better adjustment coming to the Titans than Kevin Byard has going to the Eagles. So it's not to say anything on Kevin Byard or to say Wallace is going to be, the greatest Titan ever, but I do feel like it was just a bad fit for Byard at that time going to the Eagles. But in the future, I think he does pick it up and play some pretty good football for him.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think my point wasn't to knock Kevin Byard.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Byard
Right.
is a good player, especially for his age. His age, you have to take into account because he is 30 years
Yep.
old. Or is he 31 yet? I can't remember. Anyway, the point is he's an older player, so you have to take that into effect. He's an older player, and he's playing secondary, which is very hard because you have to keep that speed, and you lose that elite speed with age. Trust me, I know. So that's part of it. I'm not knocking Kevin Byard. I was actually trying to build Wallace up a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
That's really what I was trying to do, was saying, hey, we've replaced Byard with this guy who's doing what we think should do. Like you said, better fit for our scheme. And look what it's allowing Hooker
Absolutely.
to do. Because he almost came away with an interception last game.
Close.
And he, like I said, he brought the heat.
Yeah. Yep.
So with that, if you don't have anything else for us, Link, I think it's going to wrap up the show.
Absolutely.
All right. Tell them where to find you at if you don't know.
You can find me at Link Rogers on Twitter. You can also find me on Facebook with the same name. Love to talk to you guys every week. Make sure you comment. I know we have a lot of people that watch the show. We have a lot less people comment. Be sure to comment, get active. We want to talk to you guys. This show is for you. It's not for us. I love doing it. I know Maximus loves doing it. But we're here for you guys. I mean, we want you to get involved. So make sure to comment, make sure to follow, make sure to share. And any questions you have for us, feel free to reach out.
Absolutely. Anytime. That literally, I've got Facebook on Messenger, and I've got the Twitter. I've got my messages turned on. So you ever want to know anything or just want to chit chat, DM me, man.
Yep.
As always, you can find the show, Titans Global Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, which is where we want you to go. Like and subscribe. We always love that. It helps us out the most. If that's really what you want to do and you want to help us get better, like and subscribe to YouTube. Watch us on YouTube every week. Thank you. Yeah, good show, man. I enjoy winning.
Absolutely.
And winning fixes everything. So let's just keep on winning.
Yes, sir. Tighten up.
Yeah, peace out. Tighten up, everybody.